What is up, everyone? Happy Football Friday. Got a lot of stuff going on. We got college football news, got UFL news, got NFL news, got UFL Week 3 going on. And then we also have our Jets Vikings 3-round mock to end it. We got our jerseys on. Tim Tebow.
Teddy Bridgewater. Last QB we took in the first round. So maybe an omen, maybe a little omen here.
So breaking news, the headlines from the week, NFL legend O.J. Simpson died yesterday, 76 years old. One of the greatest running backs in NFL history. And I've heard from people that were actually alive when he was playing that he was like, if he wouldn't have had the whole murder thing happen, he would be more highly regarded, I think, in terms of ranking in league history at the position.
Yeah, I mean, my dad grew up knowing O.J. Simpson's play. He watched it on TV, and let me just tell you, this guy murdered defenses. I mean, he hacked and slashed between the lines. I mean, he really just drove through that defense and really just cut through and hacked and slashed. There's no way to get him. He was just too slippery. I mean, they were like tackling him was like getting the gloves on his fingers. You just couldn't make it happen. All right, those are my jokes. All right, I'm done with the jokes there. But
play with Buffalo. Had a good career post football as well. Acting wise, was in a bunch of stuff. OJ gone at 76. The juice is now contained, I guess.
The juice
it's not on the loose anymore. Not on the loose anymore.
In other news, his ex-wife's killer is now dead. Unrelated.
Well, the other big news item that happened this week, we had another franchised player sign a long-term deal. It's been really odd this year compared to many years where we're sitting here, July 15th deadline comes around and most deals don't get done. But this year we've had, I think, 7 of 9 franchise, and then you had Kyle Duggar as transition tag player that have got deals done already with their teams. T. Higgins and Antoine Winfield are the only 2 that have not gotten long-term extensions done. But the Jags and Josh Allen signing a 5-year, $150 million deal, $88 million guaranteed there. Big money for Josh Allen. He is now 4th, I think, in terms of defensive players in per year average at $30 million per year. Much needed 17.5 sack season last year. And he also said it doesn't change anything, which was kind of nice to hear if you're a Jaguars fan. A lot of times guys get the big money and then it's like, boom, drop off in production because they got their bag. But sounds like Josh Allen's still motivated, still to go out and help the Jags win ball games. So, all right, let's go to other news here. College football wise, the NCAA is looking at a new rule that allows athletes to transfer an unlimited number of times while being able to play immediately if they meet specific academic requirements. I really like this. There's an emergency meeting, I guess, of the NCAA Board of Governors or whatever to talk about this. I like it. this rule would really try to keep what the NCAA has been saying since the start of the NCAA, is that they are student athletes, not athlete students. They are student athletes. They need to go to class. They need to get good grades, and in order to be able to play. So I really like this. I think don't know how high they're going to set it. I think also one big hurdle is that the different academic standards at each university it's tough to like, all right, well, we're going to set it at, you need to have a 3.0 GPA, but then, there's schools that you only have to have a 2.0 GPA to get into the school. So like, I think it's tough on that regard, but in kind of on paper, I like this rule a lot.
I like it too. I think a uniformity across the NCAA will benefit the entire league in general. And I think basing it off your academic, performance is the best way to treat, student athletes. You're a student first, athlete second. That's why we say student athlete. So I think this is the right move. And with what just kind of feels like a very weird, like, increase in student athletes transferring, maybe this will kind of like stem the tide of just obsessive transfers. So I'm looking forward to see how it works out.
Yeah. It kind of incentivizes students to go to class because they're like, well, all right, well, if you don't go to class, you don't do well in your school, then too bad. You got to stay at your university because you can't, or you got to sit out a year, like it is currently right now. After you transfer your first year, technically, the second time you transfer, you sit out a year unless you get a waiver. Technically, it's been really odd to see how guys have gotten around it, but guys and gals. Transfer portal. Speaking of the transfer portal, there is some movement. It opens up this coming week, the April portal window, and there's some big names coming out. Oregon State running back Damian Martinez. He was the big one to announce this week. He is going into the portal. He should be wanted by a lot of teams. All Pac-12, first team All Pac-12 last year. I think he went over 1,000 yards. This guy's explosive. He's really excellent back, can catch the ball as well. So I don't think he'll have an issue finding a home at a Big Ten SEC school, wherever he wants to go. Next one is Maryland tight end Corey Dyches. His brother also is transferring from Maryland. I can't remember his brother, Xander, I think maybe. I can't remember his brother's name because when I saw his brother enter the portal, it was like a day before he did or 2 days before he did. And I was like, I know that last name because his brother's a corner. And I was like, I know that last name at Maryland. But I was like, oh, yeah. I was thinking of the tight end. I was like, Corey Dyches, yeah. But excellent guy, pretty good player, 40-plus receptions last year, over 450 yards. Can be a good piece for a more veteran team, I think. Would be a good spot for him. Someone that's going to fight for the playoffs. New Mexico State quarterback / tight end Eli Stowers is also in the portal. Dual threat guy there. Can catch the ball, had over 300 receiving yards last year and over 100. I think he had 125 rushing yards as well as a Wildcat quarterback. So he can do it all. Kind of a Taysom Hill kind of thing. And then I'm very interested to keep track of this, but Penn State wide receiver Keandre Lambert-Smith strongly considering entering the portal. That would be a massive blow for Penn State. Lambert-Smith, their number one wide receiver last season. Now they did get some guys in the portal. However, in order for Drew Aller to succeed, he needs Lambert-Smith there in Happy Valley. Also, he's being considered as one of the top receivers for next year's class. So hoping he stays at Penn State, but we'll see what happens there. UFL news. Big injury news for the San Antonio Brahmas. They lost two key players, kicker Donald De La Haye, or a.k.a. Destroying. He was placed on IR, multiple neck fractures, and a sprained neck, sprained ligament in his neck after he tried to tackle, or he did make a tackle on a kickoff. So they went ahead and signed former Giants kicker Ryan Santoso as their new kicker there. Destroying didn't attempt a field goal in his first two games. Was really good at kickoffs. That's why they got him, really, was for the kickoffs, because the kickoffs are paramount with having it so far back at your own 20-yard line. Also on IR for San Antonio, center Alex Millette, the catcher of the infamous fake punt that was ridiculous against Memphis in week 1, or against DC in week 1, I should say. He, however, should be back, not season-ending. It's really interesting that the UFL decided to put their IR at 5. It's a 5-week minimum for IR in the UFL. So he's going to be out a while, but should be back for the end of the year for San Antonio. And then a couple other notes. The Renegades, they signed Homer Stallions edge rusher Henri St. Amour. He's going to be key piece, I think, once he gets up to speed in that defense. Excellent player last year for the New Orleans Breakers in the USFL. They placed Tuzar Skipper on IR in a corresponding move there. So outside linebacker for outside linebacker, and they're base 3-4. And then the Stallions making a move at quarterback. They are starting Adrian Martinez this week for Skip Holtz's crew, playing against Memphis in Birmingham. Believe that it's going to continue to be a 2-quarterback system. Just instead of Corral starting like he did the first 2 games, it's going to be Martinez in this one. All right, NFL news. We have a trade. There was a trade.
We have a trade to announce.
Big trade. A Watson is getting traded from Cleveland.
No. Carolina's devastated.
Yes. Offensive tackle Leroy Watson headed to the Titans from the Browns. The Titans giving up a 2024 7th-round pick, number 227 overall for Leroy there. Always thought this Watson was going to get traded from Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
But Titans continue to look for tackle help there, and maybe Leroy can help him out there.
Yeah, I mean, he's only 25. He did play a few games last year, so I mean, it's something.
I can tell you, I have never heard of him before in my entire life.
I watched a couple Browns games last year. I mean, he wasn't horrendous. Like, he wasn't noticeably bad, but it was definitely like, oh, this guy's a backup lineman. You know, it's kind of like that feeling. It's like, oh, he's a backup. Like, if Tennessee got him with the intent to be like, oh, he could compete for a starting position. It's like, no. This guy's solid depth. He could plug and play. That's fine. If you expect him to be anything more than that, you're not going to do well.
Yeah, and it really doesn't matter for the Titans. I mean, it's a decent move. They had 3 7th-round picks. Yeah. So it's really, it doesn't change anything. Good for the Browns though. They now with this one, they have 6 picks now. So they needed some capital as well. Just another flyer in the 7th round that they can use.
That's pretty smart. I mean, with a team that doesn't have a lot of high-end draft capital, getting a lot at the very end of the draft is a good way to make up for lost positioning.
That's what the Rams have.
Yeah. I mean,
Dude, the
when
Rams
you
is
don't when
ridiculous.
you don't have the top stuff, just get as much as you can, because my dad and I always talk, when it comes to the seventh round, you're just shooting from the hip, and the more shots you have, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah, I mean the Rams do have 4 picks in the first two days, but
Mhm.
they're funny because they're tied with the Cardinals, I think, for the most picks in the draft with 11. But yes, there's 7 picks on day 3, um, including 4 6th rounders. So, but yeah, I mean they got 5 compensatory selections this year. Did LA? So, anyways, back to the rest of the news here. 49ers defensive back Logan Ryan has retired. Pretty solid career. Not extraordinary. Never made a Pro Bowl. Never made a an All Pro team, but was the 3rd round pick, number 83 overall by the Patriots in 2013. Played with New England from 13 to 16. Played with the Titans 17 to 19. The Giants 20 to 21. The Bucks in 22, and the 49ers in 2023. Two-time Super Bowl champ with the Patriots, 49 and 51. In the regular season, 154 games, 123 of those starts, 755 tackles, 545 of them solos, 20 tackles for loss, 19 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown, 98 pass deflections, 15 forced fumbles, 4 fumble recoveries, 13 sacks, and 26 QB hits. In the playoffs, he was pretty good. 19 games, 11 starts, 106 tackles, 81 of those solos, 5 tackles for loss, 2 picks, including 1 returned for a touchdown that will live. It'll be one of the best plays, or the most memorable plays in my mind, in NFL history. Picking off Tom Brady in the playoffs for the Titans, in his last playoff game, I believe, for the Patriots. Um, that was friggin' awesome to watch.
That was so crazy. I do remember that. Hey,
Uh,
I will always remember Logan Ryan, man. He was the kind of guy that, like, once he became a free agent, I kept pounding the table. Even last year, I kept pounding the table for the Vikings to take a chance on this guy, because I'm like, he's he's never been great, but he's just so productive. I'm like,
mhm.
why the hell did we never take a flyer on this guy? I mean, look at the last couple teams he played with. I mean, he played his last season. The San Francisco Giants wanted him. That's a team that went to the Super Bowl. I mean,
49ers.
oh, 49ers. Sorry. I saw New York Giants and San Francisco there, and I got them mixed up. And then the baseball team. But anyway, San Francisco went to the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah.
I mean, that tells you how productive this guy was in this limited role. I mean, I've always liked him as a player. I thought he was, someone the Vikings should have gotten multiple times over.
Yeah, the rest of his playoff stats here: 8 pass deflections, 2 forced fumbles, a sack, and a 1 QB hit as well. But yeah, I mean, and he's gonna be out there. He's gonna be in the public eye. Very good personality, so he'll be on TV doing something at some point. We have the matchup for Sao Paulo Friday of opening weekend, September 6th. The Philadelphia Eagles will be playing the Green Bay Packers in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Big matchup. Kind of happy that they are playing the Packers. Kind of not, though, at the same time, because it's going to be a big deal. Both teams presumably in the playoff hunt this year, and Super Bowl hunt even for both. I think are real expectations, but it's going to be a big deal because that game could come back to haunt whoever loses at the end of the season because of tiebreakers in the NFC. So for that point, I don't really like that the Eagles have to play the Packers. But at the same time, it's all right. It's going to be a really good game in Brazil, I think.
Yeah. As
And
a man that has his wedding on that day, I'm really glad it's not the Browns. don't want half my extended family running to the TV as I'm giving my vows. So thank you, Packers, for taking that role.
Don't worry. When the Eagles score a touchdown, I'll be like, yeah. in
That
the
better
middle of
not
the,
be time.
in the middle of
That
the
better
speech.
not be. That better not be timed with. Does anyone have any objections to this, Mayor? Yes.
Sorry, Jimmy. Eagles scored. My bad.
Oh, okay. We're good. That would be great timing, though.
I'll have to remember to wear a midnight green suit to that one.
Dude, you look fly, I'd admit.
The other team in Pittsburgh, in Pennsylvania here, the Steelers, they are apparently actively trying to acquire a veteran wide receiver before the draft here, whether that's free agency or a trade. And today, again, I don't like CBS Sports, but this is where I got that line from. And today, apparently, the Steelers are talking to Cincinnati about a T. Higgins trade, which is just, that's weird. Don't know why the Bengals would trade him in division unless you're getting a really, really good deal. And on Pittsburgh's side, a T. Higgins trade doesn't even make sense with their moves that they've done this offseason. They've spent as little as possible pretty much on many of their acquisitions. So I don't think T. Higgins worth a first, and I don't think anyone else does either because the Bengals haven't been able to trade him, and I think they want a first for him. But I don't even think he's a second round pick, which is what I thought they would eventually get for him if he did get traded. I hope the Steelers don't do it. I hope they go in the route of the other Bengals wide receiver on the free agent market, Tyler Boyd, like they've been talking about. But yeah, apparently Steelers looking at the Bengals wide receivers.
Yeah, I would, if I were in charge of the Steelers, I would go free agent. I could go somewhere. I would do something like Boyd, maybe, I don't know, Gallup,
Odell.
maybe Renfro.
Yeah,
Someone
Odell's out there.
Odell, I was thinking Odell. The only problem I have with that is on the other side of 30. Maybe they're a little hesitant there. But I mean, if you're signing him to a 1-year contract, then OBJ makes a ton of sense. He had a very good season with the Ravens last year. He'd be a very good target for either Fields or Wilson. But yeah, it's just you don't want to give up draft capital for a wide receiver unless you're getting multiple years of, security in the contract. I think just the free agent market is good enough that you could get a pretty quality wide receiver for a 1-2 year deal and still have a productive season at the wide receiver front. And maybe if you need to draft a wide receiver, and probably not in the first round. I don't think Steelers would go first round wide receiver, but probably later in the draft.
Well, yeah, and it depends on who you get. So if you're gonna go draft, or if you're gonna go sign a guy like Tyler Boyd, like Hunter Renfro, there's your slot receiver. So then in the draft, you're looking at outside guys. So that kind of cuts out guys, I think, anyways, in my mind, like Lad McConkey, Xavier Worthy, those types of guys. I think are more slot because they're smaller, they're fast, and then they are pretty shifty.
I could see maybe if you do Boyd and or Renfro, you go like Walker from UNC. That could make a lot of sense. He's 6'4", kind of outside guy.
He's not 6'4", is he?
Am I mixing up with someone else?
I think he's taller than I thought. I think he's might be 6'1", 6'2".
Maybe I'm mixing up with
I don't remember. But the big guys that I like are the FSU guys: Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson.
Johnny Wilson, that's who it was. Yeah, I mean Walker's 6'2". That's not too.
Yeah. But yeah, I think. But if you go in the Higgins route, then you're looking at the slot guys more like Lad McConkey and Xavier Worthy, and those types of players. So it will depend. It depends who they get. Another receiver in the news. Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice surrendered to Dallas Fort Worth police this week. He faces 8 charges connected with the racing crash that involved I think it was a half dozen cars eventually. And one of them is aggravated assault, which is very weird that you can have aggravated assault in an auto accident. Don't really understand how that happens, but okay. I'm not a crim law person, so
Yeah. If I'm Rashee Rice, I'm calling Jordan Addison's people. I mean, just say it was your dog, and you're good.
I mean, he already said that he owned the Lambo and that he was racing it. So,
yeah. I mean, he's a celebrity. I mean, he's probably gonna at worst get a slap on the wrist. I'd be really surprised if we saw anything more of this because that's just how it is most of the time.
Right, but I think at this point in time, it's really bad timing for the Chiefs for one.
Oh yeah.
Coming to the draft, we knew they were going to probably go receiver in round 1 anyways, but I think it elevates the need even more because you don't know what's going to happen with Rashee. And, the NFL is obviously going to review it once the legal process ends. Suspension more than likely is going to come, and you don't know how long it's going to be. So definitely receiver.
Yeah. You went from receiver need to receiver desperation. And Rashee Rice has backed the Chiefs into a corner where now you have teams like, the Ravens and Lions and Bills who are in the late first round, who are also projected to take wide receiver. Now you're thinking, oh, crap, we got to jump them more than likely.
I still don't like doing that. I still don't think the trade up for a wide receiver, I don't think makes any sense to this draft just because of the depth of the class. I don't think it makes sense. I know teams are going to do it. Teams are going to end up doing it. I don't agree with it.
I don't know. I feel like if you're the Chiefs, you got to guarantee yourself a spot to get someone like a Donnie Mitchell. Because I feel like a Donnie Mitchell to me is the last upper echelon wide receiver draft prospect. I know a lot of people like Ladd McConkey. I'm not 100% sold on him. And some people say oh, he could go to the Chiefs, but I'm not at 32. But I'm not fully sold on that idea. I mean, I see McConkey more as a late second rounder, not a late first rounder.
I think he's early second round.
Maybe. I'm not super sold on McConkey.
The Tom Brady making news. Back in the news. He apparently said on what was it called Uncut something, some podcast. He said that he wouldn't rule out a return to the league if a late season return if someone has a QB injury, and so Tom's trying to complicate his Raiders minority ownership purchase once again because I don't think that has still been finalized. So
all I have to say is, Tom Brady, you are a San Francisco Giant.
49er.
Why do I keep doing this, man? Actually, he got drafted by the Expos, so he's actually going back to baseball. That is the swerve of the century.
The one interesting thing would be if that would happen in 2024. He is being inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame on June 12th, which for one is very, very odd. That he's going in the summer and not in the fall during a game. I guess because he's working for Fox now. This year is his first year, I think, right, for Fox. So I guess maybe they couldn't figure out a good time for him to come in the fall. But yeah, you can buy tickets to Tom's Hall of Fame ceremony for the Patriots Hall of Fame in June there. So that would be very intriguing.
Didn't they already have like a jersey retirement ceremony last year? Or am I tripping?
I have no clue. I thought so too, but then I got this thing that said Hall of Fame induction June 12th, 2024. So I don't know what's happening.
We'll see.
But yeah, that would be really funny. Here comes the Patriots Hall of Famer Tom Brady. We got the list of draft attendees for the 2024 NFL draft. So I think it's 13 names. Yeah, 13. 13 guys going to be attending. Spooky number.
Ooh,
13.
spooky.
Taylor's favorite number. The guys that are attending the draft in Detroit, big Alabama and LSU presences. Alabama corner Tyrion Arnold, LSU quarterback Jaden Daniels, Ohio State wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr., Alabama offensive tackle J.C. Latham, UCLA edge rusher Laiatu Latu, UNC quarterback Drake May, Toledo corner Quinyon Mitchell, LSU wide receiver Malik Neighbors, Washington wide receiver Roma Dunze, Missouri edge rusher Darius Robinson, LSU wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr., Alabama edge rusher Dallas Turner, and USC quarterback Caleb Williams. Good chance all those guys go in the first round.
I don't think we're going to see a Will Levis kind of situation here.
Yeah. The only one.
My vote for the Will
Darius
Levis.
Robinson.
Yep, Darius Robinson. I was about to say that's my vote for the Will Levis of this year's draft class.
But I think the league is higher than the media on him. To be honest, though, I wouldn't rule out a Laiatu Latu drop as well.
Yeah, I keep seeing him drop in a lot of draft boards. I remember seeing him in the early double digits. I've seen him drafted to the Vikings 2 months ago, and now I see him to the Bills.
Yeah, it just depends. I haven't heard anything on his combine recheck, because his biggest thing was the medicals. Why he retired at Washington in 2021, I think it was, because of the multiple neck injuries that he had, and then he had spinal fusion surgery. So, all right, one extension or one re-signing to talk about. The Jets, they re-signed their former third-round pick in 2020, safety Ashton Davis, on a one-year deal. Apparently had other offers out there, but wanted to run it back another year with Coach Sala there and defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich. Free agent signings, nothing major, but a bunch of notable names getting signed. The Ravens, they signed Bills wide receiver and returner Deontay Hardy on a one-year deal, so boosting their special teams after Devin Duvernay left in free agency, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he went to the Jags. Yeah. So they had a need at returner. So in comes Hardy. The Eagles boosting up their offense a little bit, signing Jets tight end CJ Uzama on a one-year deal. Love this signing. Helped the Bengals get to the Super Bowl a couple years back. Didn't really do a lot in New York, had some injuries, but hopefully in Philly will be a nice compliment to Dallas Goedert at the tight end position. And that's one thing that I think I had that on the Eagles' needs. Yeah, the fifth need I had for Philly was tight end 2. So I'll have to go back and revise that and see what else they need. But yeah, that was a need in the draft. So now they fill that in free agency. The 49ers lost Logan Ryan to retirement. Well, they get a corner. They signed Ravens corner Rock Yassin to a one-year deal. The Giants, they signed Bills defensive tackle Jordan Phillips Saints signed a couple guys. Colts quarterback Kellen Mond and Bears wide receiver Equinemius St. Brown.
That's a certified Kellen Mond moment for all my friends that know what that means.
And then just one visit to note, the Seahawks. They hosted Colts offensive lineman Ike Bacher. That would be a good signing for Seattle. I don't really think they've filled their guard need that everyone's talked about with the draft. So Bacher can play all three interior positions. Would be a good signing for Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go to the UFL pick standings. I am still sitting pretty in first place, 3-1 for Alec and I last week. You went 2-2, sir. I think you lost a lone wolf.
Yeah, I got a little bold.
Let me just check the picks from last week here. Yeah, so we were all chalk except for the Panthers game. You lost the Panthers against the Stallions as your lone wolf there. So,
yep.
You are one game back now at 4-4. Alec making a strong comeback though. 0-4 in week 1, 3-1 week 2. So he's 2 games back now at 3-5. All right, let's look at UFL week 3 here. First game on the board. We got the Defenders at the Renegades in Arlington, Texas. And Alec is lone wolfing the 0-2 Renegades. And I can see why. DC struggled last week at home and against the Roughnecks, but I still think DC has a good roster. They have the better quarterback in my mind. It's going to be tough. Luis Perez did beat this Defenders team for the XFL championship. That's the whole thing with this game is it's the XFL championship rematch from last year. But of course I'm going to pick my Defenders. So you were really the deciding vote there on who got the lone wolf, Jimmy. And it was also interesting. This game flipped on the line. It started out Defenders -1, flipped 2 points over to Renegades -1. Don't know if that's people thinking home field advantage in Arlington. Maybe people looking at the game last week for DC that it wasn't that great. I don't know. But I do like the total is 43.5. I initially liked the over in this one. 43.5 is a lot of points, though. And we've only had one over in the UFL this season. So for that fact, I'm not going to play any. I didn't play anything on this one. But I like Defenders money line. It's not plus money. It's like minus. I think both teams are -120. It's pretty even on that regard, but 1 p.m. on ESPN tomorrow. Showboats at Stallions. Alec doing what he did week 1. Back on Alec here in Birmingham as a 7-point favorite at home. Jimmy and I are taking the Memphis Showboats on the road. I know why I'm taking them because they're my team. But I do like two bets in this game. I love Showboats on the spread +7, +7.5 is what I got it at today, which was awesome. But if you, I really like Showboat. I think this is going to be a close game. And I really like the under as well. The under, I got the under at 40.5, I think. So I got gypped on a half a point because it's 41 right now. The last time I checked, anyways. But Reason I like the under, these two are first and third in the league in points allowed per game through the first 2 weeks. Birmingham gives up 13.5 points per game. Memphis 16. And they also give up under 250 yards each. Birmingham, the best in that category, 233.5 yards allowed per game. Memphis, 242. They also turn the offenses over. Birmingham is second in turnovers with 4, 2 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries. Memphis has 5. They're first in the league. They have 4 fumble recoveries and an interception. Plus, they have a blocked punt, and they have a fumble returned for a touchdown this year. So Memphis also special teams wise could come into play in this one. I think the quarterback play is pretty similar. Case Cookus versus Adrian Martinez and Matt Corral. I think it's going to be a really good game and a lot closer than 7 points, even though it is in Birmingham.
Mm-hmm. And I picked short because of the vibes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're coming off a tough loss. I think they're going to recover well, and I think every team has to lose eventually. So Stallion's going to take the loss here.
Yeah, the boats. Like I said, total is 41. I like the under. 7 p.m. on Fox. On Sunday, we got the Roughnecks at the Panthers, and my first lone wolf of the season. Yeah, I'm going with the 0-2 Roughnecks in Detroit. And that is because of the quarterback position. As everyone knows, I love quarterbacks. And Reed Sinnett played very well in D.C. last week coming off the bench. He'll have a whole week to prepare as the starter now. And I think he can get the Panthers. The Panthers I haven't been that impressed with. They've had some issues at quarterback. E.J. Perry hasn't played the best. I think he also leads the league in turnovers for the quarterback position, if I am mistaken. Yeah, he has the most interceptions. He has 3. And he has, or he doesn't have a fumble, but he has a 1-3 touchdown interception ratio passing the ball. Technically, he's even because he has 2 rushing touchdowns on the year, but just hitting 56.1%. That is 6th in the league, and I just think that Sinnett played, like I said, very well. 19 of 31, 221. 1 touchdown. He didn't turn the ball over last week, which I think is a big key against Michigan. And they're in the middle of the league in terms of points allowed, 18 per game. They're also second to last in sacks. They only have 3.5, and they are last in turnovers. They have 1 interception on the year, and that's their only 1. So I like the Roughnecks. They're right above Michigan in terms of defense in points allowed. They have 17.5 points allowed per game, but their defense is a lot better. They have 5 sacks, 2 turnovers, 1 interception, 1 fumble recovery. So I think it's going to be a close one, but I do think Reed Sinnett is going to be the difference in this game. Houston walks out of Detroit with their first win of the season. Total is 38.5, lowest of the weekend of the 4 games. That's tough because they both allow similar points allowed, 18 and 17.5. I don't know. Maybe it goes under, but I could see a way that does go over. I don't know. 12 p.m. on ABC on Sunday. In the last game here, Chalk City. Battlehawks at the Brahmas. We are all on the St. Louis train. 1-point favorite in San Antonio. Got to give the Brahmas their first loss of the season, and I think it's just continues to be E.J. Perry. A.J. McCarron. I don't know why I say it, E.J. A.J. McCarron. He leads the league in passing yards, 464. He's 3rd in completion percentage, or 4th technically. Jarrett Garantano is above him by a couple tenths of a percent. But he's 2nd in the league in passing touchdowns with 4. He has 0 turnovers. He's the last quarterback to not have a turnover. So I think that plays a big factor. The emergence of Mateo Durant last week, having a 100-yard game in his first game of the season. They can run the ball. Now, the big issue that St. Louis is going to have is defense. They've gotten gashed. They're second to last in points allowed per game with 21. They're also second to last in yards allowed, 283.5 per game. And they're right in the middle in terms of sacks and turnovers. San Antonio is excellent on defense. They're second in the league, 15.5 points allowed per game. Second in sacks with 7. They also have 2 turnovers. But, yeah, that's going to be the big key is can St. Louis buckle down defensively and hold Chase Garbers, who had the miraculous comeback last week in Memphis. He's not bad himself. He is 4th in the league in passing yards, 445. Leads the league in completion percentage at 73.8%. And he's first in the league in touchdowns with 5 passing touchdowns. He has 6 total. And 6-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, including that rushing score. It's going to be a tough task for the St. Louis secondary. But, yeah, I think AJ McCarron can get it done. Total is 42, and because of the discrepancy in defenses, with St. Louis being a high scoring defense and San Antonio being a low scoring defense, I don't really know what to play there. I would suggest under because unders are hitting at a 7-to-1 rate right now. So under is probably your best play, especially second highest of the weekend at 42. 3 p.m. on ABC. My bad. I forgot to change the words. We are on the Jets and the Vikings mock draft, 3-round mock.
And you got on me for saying San Francisco Giants. How dare you?
This is probably the least amount of picks we're going to make during this mock draft series that we've been doing. Just 2 for each side, and we don't have a second-round pick to go with either team. Number 10 for the Jets in the first, number 72 for them in the third. Their second-round pick is with Green Bay in the Aaron Rodgers trade. The Vikings have number 11. They got number 23 from the Texans. That was originally the Browns pick in the Deshaun Watson trade. And where did their second and third round picks go, sir?
Second round pick went to the Texans in the 23rd overall pick, and then the third went to Detroit in the TJ Hawkinson trade.
There you go.
There you go.
All righty, let's get to it here.
All right.
Got the PFF sim loaded up here.
I'm going to need you to get ready to pause it when I yell pause, because I'm going to have a pause for you.
I swear to God, we're not trading up.
Yes, we are. Yes,
Jets
we
are
are.
up first base.
Yes, we are.
Caleb Williams. Commanders go Drake May.
Wait.
Patriots, Malik Neighbors. Cardinals are going Marvin Harrison Jr.
No, actually, not even
Chargers are going
anything.
Joe Alt.
Not even going to say anything.
Giants go Jaden Daniels.
We're good.
Roma Dunze to the Titans. Brock Bowers for the Falcons. The Bears go Eliatu Latu, and we are on the clock with the Jets.
Ooh,
and so this is a tough situation. No Brock Bowers is available. So I actually think it's easier to pick, and it's a pick that I would do anyways. And it's Talise Fuaga. You have to get a tackle. You have to secure the future at left tackle. I don't believe Tyron Smith's going to play all 17. My pick is Talise Fuaga.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, with no offensive weapons available at this point, I've always had Roma Dunze here, but with him gone, along with Neighbors and Harrison, you just got to go to the next best thing. And I usually had Bowers too, just because it feels like a pick Aaron Rodgers would politic his way into making. But with Bowers gone, you just kind of have to go offensive tackle here.
Yeah, and for the Jets, I actually don't even have offensive tackle on the list of needs because it's not. It's a future need more than a need right now. Because how I did my needs is what they need as their roster currently stands. And so yeah, I had tight end, safety, edge rusher, linebacker, and wide receiver as their needs, top 5 there. So, but yeah, I've always said the Jets should take a tackle regardless of who's available.
Mm-hmm.
Your Vikings are up, sir. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna trade up to 3, but Drake May was taken second, so I held back. I'm not super sold on Jaden Daniels. That's why I did not trade up with the Chargers. But with JJ McCarthy available, the last pretty good quarterback left in this draft, I think it's pretty obvious JJ McCarthy here. Do I see him dropping to 11? Absolutely not. This is even JJ McCarthy you're going to have to trade up with to get him because the Broncos and Raiders are going to do exactly that. But hey, get JJ at 11, I would take it.
Yeah, I think you got to take quarterback regardless. At some point. Quinyon Mitchell to the Broncos. Dallas Turner for the Raiders. That'd be nasty. Him and Brax Crosby. Troy Feltanu for the Saints. Colts go Johnny Newton. Jared Verse, the Seahawks. Byron Murphy for the Jags. There went your pick.
Yep, that was going to be my guy.
For the Bengals. Bo Nix to the Rams. There it is. Terrion Arnold for the Steelers. That's a win. J.C. Latham for the Dolphins. The Eagles go Olu Fashanu. Wow. That is a big dub for Pennsylvania, baby. We got 2 studs that we didn't have to trade up for. All right, back on the clock with Minnesota 23 here. What are we thinking?
Scroll down a little bit. I just want to see who else is available.
Peyton Wilson.
Peyton Wilson. I'm not impressed. I would go Nate Wiggins here out of Clemson.
So, yeah, in terms of what I have for the Vikings needs, quarterback, interior D-line, safety, wide receiver, and punter. They're the only team I put a specialist. Actually, no, that's not true. The Rams, I put a kicker. They need a kicker. But, yeah, I mean, Nate Wiggins, I think, is a fit.
You could get it. And the other idea I had was taking one of these tackles and converting them to a guard.
But, yeah, I mean, Graham Barton can play guard.
Yeah, Graham Barton was the other choice.
He actually is a center. A lot of people like him as a center. But, yeah, I mean, I'm perfectly fine with Nate Wiggins. I'd be kind of scared as Vikings fans of drafting another Clemson corner, but that's just me.
Yeah, me too.
Hasn't worked out.
Again, I did not expect the Vikings to be sitting here and drafting at 23. I totally expected going into this mock draft to trade up. But with Drake May gone at 2, I was like, all right, we're sticking. But yeah, Nate Wiggins here.
The Cowboys, they're going to go Graham Barton. Dang, 47 picks. Amarius Mims for the Packers. Brian Thomas Jr. for the Bucks. Cardinals going JPJ. Kool-Aid McKinstry for the Bills. Peyton Wilson. Wow, back-to-back years for the Detroit Lions, picking linebackers. Vlad McConkey for the Ravens. Tyler Guyton for the Niners. Troy Franklin for the Chiefs. Mike Sanders still for the Panthers. Hate it. Adonai Mitchell for the Patriots. Darius Robinson for the Cards. That's a good fit. Tyler Nubin for the Commanders. Kamari Lassiter for the Chargers. Titans going Chop Robinson. Wish that was the Panthers pick. Rakestraw for the Panthers. Don't know why. Chris Braswell for the Commanders. Jordan Morgan for the Packers. That's a good one. Roman Wilson for the Texans. Falcons going Braden Fisk. Raiders hitting up Ricky Pearsall. That's a Hunter Renfrow pick there. Michael Penix Jr. Saints. There it is. Zach Frazier for the Colts. Kingsley Suamataia for the Giants. Jonah Ellis for the Jags. Bengals going TJ Tampa. Eagles got Keon Coleman. Dude, that would be awesome. Kieran Amagaji for the Steelers. Xavier Leggett for the Rams. Eagles go Jermaine Burton. Dude, we're running 4 wide spread in Philadelphia. Javon Bullard for the Browns. Marshawn Nealon for the Dolphins. Chris Jenkins for the Cowboys. That's a good fit. Adisa Isaac for the Bucks. That's also a good fit. Jatavian Sanders with the Packers. Xavier Worthy for the Texans. Rico Rojo, there's your guy for the Bills. Jonathan Brooks for the Lions. That doesn't make sense. Jalen Polk for the Ravens. Junior Colson for the Niners. Kyrie Jackson for the Chiefs. Panthers going Jalen McMillan. Cards going to Vontez Walker. Commanders, Edgerrin Cooper. Austin Booker for the Patriots. Chargers go Javon Baker. Giants going Tavondre Sweat. And Christian Haynes for the Cardinals. So we're finally back on the clock with our last pick here, the Jets. So we got a tackle. Like I said, I have tight end and then safety as the next one. Kind of wish Jatavian Sanders would somehow have fallen here. I guess safety is less of a need because they did re-sign Ashton Davis. But I still think it's a one-year deal. So I think it's perfectly fine to take Jaden Hicks here. I haven't studied him too much. So, to be honest, I do like Braylon Trice a lot as well. They did, get Hassan Reddick from the Eagles to fill their pass rush need, but you can never have too many pass rushers. So I wouldn't be opposed to either one, though.
Yeah, the only other one I would consider is maybe Johnny Wilson if you want to get a wide receiver. That could make some sense. I feel like we're just in a weird spot here with the Jets because no one pops off the board right now.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess we'll just go best player available, and that's Jaden Hicks.
I agree. If you're not sure what to do, always just kind of take best player available. So Jaden Hicks is a fine addition.
Lions going Max Melton, and you can finish it off, Jimmy. I'm gonna run away real quick.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm falling asleep. All right, Spencer Rattler to the Broncos. They got their quarterback for future. Patrick Paul to the Raiders. Gabriel Murphy to the Washington Commanders. Falcons get Jane Wright. Bengals get Blake Corum. That's interesting. Johnny Wilson to the Seahawks. I like that. Jamari Thrash to the Colts. Andrew Phillips to the Rams. I like that pick. Malachi Corley to the Steelers. Interesting. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. to the Browns. I like that. Kitchens to the Texans. Brandon Dorris to the Cowboys. Christian Mahogany, I think that's how you say his name, to the Packers. Cedric Van Pran to the Buccaneers. Green to the Cardinals. Bullock to the Packers. Benson to the Bucks. Brennan Rice to Baltimore. Interesting. Bucky Irving to San Fran. That makes no sense. Xavier Thomas, edge to the Chiefs. Dominic Puny to tackle the Kansas. Jones, cornerback from Florida State to the Bengals. Michael Pratt to Pittsburgh. There's your quarterback of the future. Dwayne Carter to the Rams. And with Washington, I don't know. But it doesn't matter what it is. Just like The Rock, it doesn't matter what you think. Just like it doesn't matter what PFF thinks of our draft. We got J.J. McCarthy for the Vikings at 11. They say we should have drafted Quinion Mitchell. And I'm telling PFF to shove it where the sun don't shine, because as much as we need a cornerback, we need a quarterback more. And J.J. McCarthy being the last good quarterback in this draft, you would obviously take him at 11. PFF can go PFF off, if you ask me. But they gave us a B+ on that. And then Nate Wiggins at 23rd. We got an A there. And since I cannot have control of the board, I am just stuck on this image. So you are stuck on this image with me. And if I remember correctly with the Jets, we got a Fuaga from Oregon State, the tackle. I like that pick. And then the safety from Washington State. Why am I blanking on his name? In the third round. I like that pick a lot. There's no reason. Oh, who's there? Someone's here. I mean, they didn't dislike either of our picks because we're just so damn smart. And I mean, Deis Fulaga from Oregon State, Jaden Hicks, the safety from Washington State. I mean, A's across the board. Because why not? Because we're perfect. We're perfect in every way. And the reason they gave us a B plus on JJ McCarthy is because they're jealous of our genius and they can't stand the fact that we're smart. So yeah, I mean, as a Viking fan, personally, I'm really high on Drake May. That's why, like, if he dropped the 3, because I don't realistically see us trading up with Washington to get number 2. I don't see Washington trading away from 2. I'm under the impression right now that they would take Jaden Daniels. I think they're high on him. So I think Drake may be available at 3. I don't see JJ dropping to 11. I think you would have to trade up to get JJ McCarthy. But if he somehow, by some miracle, fell to 11, that's an incredible pick. I mean, keeping both your first-round picks and getting a possible quarterback of the future is great. But yeah, I mean, as a Viking fan, there's nothing to complain about here. It'd be really cool to get JJ at 11. I don't see that happening, but that'd be very cool to see. And Nate Wiggins, hey, you got another first-round pick, and you got a first-round talent in Nate Wiggins. I know there's a lot of concern about taking defensive ends. First-round pick Vikings have not had a good history of that, but hey, we're under a different regime. I think they could really make Wiggins into something. Please tell me Rusty's back. I can't keep talking. I don't even know who Washington got at 100.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi is not great. The Wi-Fi is not great, to be honest. But no, yeah, I think both worked out pretty well. Yeah, the Jets are a tough one. That last pick, I don't know. Maybe it should have been wide receiver. Mm-hmm. How much does Aaron Rodgers play into the factor? Probably a lot.
I think if you want to have the future in mind, you just can't give in to getting a wide receiver, considering the fact that, hey, he just tore his Achilles last year. We have no idea how Aaron Rodgers will perform next year.
Mm-hmm.
I think if Roma Dunze is available at 10, you take him. But again, yeah, it's a weird position the Jets are in.
Yeah, so because I know you care, Sione Vaki to the Commanders at 100. Michael Pratt to the Steelers. Good Lord.
Yeah, I saw that and I said, "Oh, QB of the future."
That's too early. I did draft Jordan Travis in the 5th round. I think he dropped to the Steelers. I was like, let's go. But yeah, here's the whole first round there. Again, interesting start with May at 2. Patriots go Neighbors, which I love Malik Neighbors. Get the Neighbors over a Marvin Harrison train going. Love it. Love to see that. And then, yeah, Jaden Daniels at 6 to the Giants. That is a possibility.
I could see
it. I've heard a lot of stuff about the Giants are a team that's doing their homework on the QBs. So that would be an even bigger factor for the Vikings, Broncos, Raiders to get up into the top 5 to get ahead of New York in case they are going to take whether that's 3 or 4 on the quarterback chart there.
The most likely trade I see the Vikings making to go up into the top 5 is with the Chargers. I think that makes the most sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because I as much as we hear about the Cardinals trading back, I think they really want to stick and pick and get the top wide receiver of this draft. I don't see him looking at like the Broncos and Raiders and Vikings back. We can still get a guy like Harrison or Neighbors in that area. It's like at best you might get a Dunze.
Well, yeah, I mean, if I'm the Cardinals, and the thing is I did see who was it? Kuiper's latest mock. I think he had the Cards trading back in to the top 10, like they did last year. They acquire capital, and then they use some of that capital to go back up to get a guy that they want.
So what are we thinking? They trade back with,
Yeah.
let's say, the Vikings or Broncos, and then trade back in with like the Tennessee Titans or Atlanta Falcons?
Yeah. I think depending on how it shakes out, if they trade back with the Vikings give them 3 first-round picks, 2 this year, 1 next year, right?
Yeah, that's more than likely.
That means the Cardinals have 3 first-round picks this year. So they can use either 27 or 23 to come back in to move up from whichever pick that is. And then, come back up either, I think, as high as the Giants. If the Giants lose out on those guys, and say the Chargers don't go alt and they go either one of the 2 receivers, so then Roma Dunze is sitting there available, and the Giants are like, I don't really like him. We wanted Neighbors or Harrison. Even if they don't, and they take a tackle per se, I don't know if they will, but I think, the next one would be the Falcons to come back up, and that wouldn't cost a first-round pick, I don't think, because you're only moving up 3 spots. Just to get ahead of the Bears if Odunze is still available. I think that would be the move for Arizona.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But anyways, yeah. Jay, Nate Wiggins, Tilly Swaga, Jaden Hicks. Pretty solid Vikings Jets.
I like that.
Mock there. And yeah, so that is the show for today. Not seeing anything on the Twitter feed, the X feed, whatever you want to call it.
The only thing I saw was that Brandon Ayuk unfollowed the 49ers on Instagram. A little bit of social media drama, apparently.
Great. But yeah, that's the show for today. We'll be back next Friday talking UFL Week 4 with the NCAA, NFL, UFL news, as well as continue our mock draft series, Saints and Colts. Next Friday, UFL game previews for Week 4 as well. On Monday, we'll be getting our Mock Draft Monday show back. So we will have that. Make sure to tune in noon Eastern on that. And then we'll have the Broncos Raiders, very intriguing mock draft to do with those 2 teams together on Monday as well. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast on Instagram and X, FAA_bets on X as well. FAApodcast.com is our website. You can check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Jimmy. And we'll see y'all back on Monday.
Skol Vikes.